Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 46. Today we are talking about the Warhammer Part A. I am your host, Brent Stewart McKee. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Chandler.
And the Warhammer, of course, is a 70-ton mech, and it was first produced by StarCorp Industries and was designed to be a mobile mech that could cripple or outright destroy every other mech on the field for the Star League Defense Force. And boy did StarCorp deliver. The Warhammer essentially defined the heavy mech classification. With its mobility, it could keep pace with all battles, and its weapons loadout is a thing to fear and respect. Despite having a simple electronic system, the simplicity kept it competitive and easy to maintain and easy to upgrade. Often used as the anchor of a lance and having seen action on every place a human foot has landed on, the Warhammer is, or was, the poster boy for battle mechs.
Can't go wrong with dual PPCs.
It is one of the prototypical heavy mechs. If you ask someone to just randomly say a heavy mech, you're probably going to get at least one answer. That's just Warhammer.
Well, I think it is probably in the top 3 of the most iconic mechs that are used for marketing. The 3 being the Atlas, the Mad Cat, and the Warhammer.
Yeah, it's the cover of one of the older box sets,
So, the Warhammer has the design quirks of Rugged 2, Searchlight, Stable, and Ubiquitous. The Warhammer 2C has the design quirks of Searchlight and Stable. Our first model today is the Warhammer WHM-6R, first seen in 2515. This guy has a movement profile of 4.6. It's got a machine gun, a medium laser, a small laser, and an SRM-6 in the right torso, a machine gun, a small laser, and a medium laser in the left torso, and then a PPC in both the right and the left arm. It also has 18 single heat sinks, and yeah, like this thing's great.
Yeah, in the original TRO 3025, it starts out saying that this Warhammer was designed primarily as an assault mech, which kind of gives you an idea of how much firepower relative to many of its contemporaries it's packing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, 2 PPCs this early in the timeline is a powerful punch, and no one wants to really be on the other end of it.
And it's kind of retconned in there, but the previous mech with this kind of dual PPC firepower was the Battle Axe, and that guy had a lot of overheating problems.
Yes, it did. This guy also has some of those problems with only 18 heat sinks, and of course each of those PPCs can generate 10 heat, so if you're firing both of them and moving, you're going to start to creep up on that heat scale.
Creep being the operative word there, because if you were in a Battle Axe trying to do that, you would straight overheat.
Just jump, hop, skip, and a jump up there.
So
go from 0 to 100 real quick.
The question is, how long should the mech warrior be at 100 degrees for? 45, then rotate?
Ask the medics.
The original requisition was placed by General Sternson, and he called for a mobile mech with enough firepower to destroy or severely damage any mech of the same weight class or lower. I don't know if you'd already mentioned that.
Partially.
It can do it.
Like I said, they delivered.
I really like its balanced loadout. You're in a heavy class mech, so your main role at this point is to kill other mechs, not so much support infantry. But it's still got some machine guns and some HE with that SRM-6 that allow it to support allied infantry against enemy infantry positions.
Mm-hmm. Or if it gets charged by a platoon with some satchel charges.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this guy's got a battle value of 12.99 and a point value of 32. We then come to the 6RB version, the Royal version. This guy has the same movement profile. It's got a machine gun, medium laser, small laser, SRM-6 with Artemis 4 in the right torso. It's got a machine gun, a medium laser, and a small laser in the left torso. It's got a PPC in each arm, and it has 17 double heat sinks. It has ferro armor, and it has, it's a very good upgrade for this machine. Those heat sinks just are the most notable thing that I click the like button on.
Yeah, we've talked about how this Warhammer 6R is already a fantastic machine by itself, and then you royal it up, give it those double heat sinks, add Artemis to the SRM-6. Now you can fire everything you have all day long.
Yeah.
It also does get an armor bump as well, so that's not anything to scoff at. You were saying, Chandler?
Yeah. It's almost oversynced, really, which, I mean, I'm not surprised, seeing as it's a royal mech. They really just go, okay, we got this. We're just going to shove a bunch of heat sinks in.
Yeah,
Call it a day. I almost would want to drop another and just add more armor.
Why would
the-
you want to do that?
Some of the biggest issues with Warhammers is sometimes they just kind of don't have the armor of a 70-ton mech.
This guy feels really easy for a nooblet to handle heat-wise, because at a run and alpha striking absolutely every single weapon, it zeroes out on heat. Generates 32 with an alpha strike, plus 2 for a run, 34 heat sink. I mean, I can see Chandler's point. Drop a couple for armor, because you really probably won't ever alpha strike with this, given those small lasers. Long range starts at the first pip of the PPC's minimum range.
No, absolutely. But the Royals aren't exactly redesigns. They're look at the blueprint, replace everything with new tech, and that's it. Like, you know, this one actually cuts heat sinks already. Most of them keep the normal amount and just are over synced up the wazoo.
Yeah, this guy traded a heat sink for Artemis.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad mech. Yeah, definitely wouldn't want to be on the opposite end.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1431 and a point value of 38. Next we come to the 6RK, as seen in 2745.
Ooh. What about the 6RDC?
I don't have that one on my list.
It's from the Mech Warrior Companion, debuted in 2705 according to Master Unit List.
I do not know of this mech.
Yeah, it is listed on Master Unit List, but it doesn't have a BV or a PV, so not entirely sure what we talk about.
I'll take it.
Existence.
I can run with it real quick.
What's the number?
6R-DC. It's from the Mech Warrior Companion sourcebook.
Okay, yeah. I don't see it on Sarna either.
Next up, we have the Warhammer 6R-DC, debuted in 2705. This guy does not have a battle value or a point value, and it comes from the Mech Warrior Companion, an RPG book. So I'm assuming there's no record sheet for it, which is why we don't have battle value or point value. But DC, we've talked about in the past, is usually the nomenclature put on a mech when it's given a command console.
Mm-hmm.
So the assumption here is that something has been pulled out of a standard 6R to put in a command console. Probably a heat sink. It seems to be like something they would do, or a ton of armor, 1 ton of armor.
Or the machine guns.
Or they could have pulled out the machine guns.
Okay, I found it kind of. So it does mention the 6R is able to get a dual cockpit, and the Draconis Combine removes 2 small lasers from the 6R to do it.
Okay.
Well, there
we go.
So after that, we have the 6RK, first seen in 2745, and it's got a battle value of 1621 and a point value of 41, and that's what I pulled from Master Unit List because I could not find any information on this guy otherwise.
I'm afraid that might become a theme here.
Luckily, I've been able to find all the other ones. So
is from Error Report 2750. So 6RK is a Draconis Combine version. Uses a bunch of fancy dancy tech. So XL engine. 15 double heat sinks, 208 points of armor, so ups your armor. But other than that, keeps your standard weapons loadout.
There you go.
Oh, and you move 5/8 now. That's what you do with the XL. The 6RK is a fast boy, so you move 5/8 with that XL engine. And then, other than that, it's essentially a RB with 2 less heat sinks and no Artemis on the SRM-6. And with more armor, because why not?
So, next up is the 7A, and it was seen in 2761. And this guy's got the traditional movement profile of 4/6. It's got a ER PPC in both the left and the right arm. It's got a medium laser and a small pulse laser in the left torso. And in the right torso, it has an SRM-6 with Artemis 4, a medium laser, and a small pulse laser. The center torso has 2 medium lasers. This guy also has 16 double heat sinks, and also endo steel.
So this guy is ditching his anti-infantry capabilities in order to maximize, well, I guess he's got the small pulse lasers, so that's an efficiency thing, really. Because small pulse lasers are basically laser machine guns.
Also ups the armor a little bit. Every one of these models has basically just tweaked the armor up the dial just a little bit, making it a little better.
So actually, I kind of like this 7A, even though it doesn't have the machine guns. By spending the machine gun weight to upgrade the small lasers to small pulse, you get the same effect, but now you don't have ammunition to worry about. You've increased the damage slightly, increased your accuracy a significant amount.
Well, it's interesting to note that the 7A was actually created to respond to the 6RB's perceived inadequacies. So, I mean, it is a much better machine.
It covers them all.
Yeah, it's even got case now, too, which is really nice.
So this guy clocks in at 1679 for its battle value and a point value of 40. We then come to the 6L in 2825, our first Liao version. This guy has the movement profile of 4/6. It's got 18 single heat sinks. It has a PPC in each arm, and then a small laser, a medium laser, and a flamer in the left torso. An SRM-6, a small laser, a medium laser, and a flamer in the right torso.
So basically this guy, they just pulled out the machine guns and machine gun ammo to replace it with flamers.
Pretty much. Also drops a little bit of armor, especially compared to the more recent models. But of course this 6 is based off the 6R, so it's got the same armor as the 6R.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a 6R, but flamers instead of machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
Make some crispies.
Yep.
Definitely just a Liao flavored take on the Warhammer.
Yeah.
Just, before they get all their other toys.
It's the Warhammer you drive when you go commit war crimes.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1311 and a point value of 31. We then come to the 6K in 2830. This guy, the Cretan model, has the traditional movement profile. It's got a medium laser, a small laser, and an SRM-6 in the right torso, a medium laser, a small laser in the left torso, and then a PPC in each arm. It's also got 20 single heat sinks, and yeah, that's about it. It's just the Cretan version of the 6R, and this guy's nice. I like pulling the anti-infantry stuff for more heat sinks. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, I'm torn because
especially with the way Kurita lances tend to operate, where you have a big mech and you got a ton of light mechs, you're gonna have plenty of anti-infantry firepower around.
Yeah, and it really, I guess it fits with the whole warrior gimmick they've got going on, because now you're focused on the enemy mech warriors instead of enemy infantry. Yes, now you only gain movement heat when you fire both your PPCs, but you've lost some of your versatility in a combat situation. So
what you're saying, Josh, is if you're facing one of these, send your infantry at it.
No,
possibly.
Don't. It'll still murder him.
Depends on your infantry.
It still has plenty of lasers and an SRM-6.
I'm sure plenty of these fell to toads.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but battle armor and infantry are not one and the same by any means.
There isn't really a clear codification between the two in the rule set, so that's the position I'm taking right here.
Well, this is the Cretan one, and who's known for having very good anti-mech infantry, and who do they usually fight? Grey Death Legion, and they're usually fighting the Cretans.
It's true.
So maybe there's a little correlation.
It felt very strange for them to be allied with them in the third book.
Yes, it did. But Comstar is the greater
That's
enemy.
the point.
I think we can all agree.
That's true. So this guy's got
Just pay your bills and no one gets hurt.
There you go. This guy's got a battle value of 1305 and a point value of 32. We then come to the 6K Yorinaga, and it is exactly the same. The only thing special about this guy is that it is from the Mallory's World campaign, and it fought Morgan Kell, and just like his archer, there's nothing special about it. It's all the pilot.
It's got patent Jedi leather seats. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Or kyber crystal focusers for its lasers.
Pew with anger.
A little slot for your lightsaber to go. Cockpit.
Second sort of light mech after all. So again, seen in 2830, and it has the same battle value of 1305, and it would have the same point value of 32. We then come to the 60, seen in 2835. D for Davian. And this guy has a medium laser and a small laser in the right torso, same with the left torso, and a PPC in both arms. Keeps the movement profile of 4/6, ups the armor, and has 20 single heat sinks. So ditching that SRM-6, which is a little sad to see go.
Yeah, you lose a flexibility and area effect weapon when dealing with unarmored enemies. That said, this is a dedicated anti-mech, anti-tank version, because it bumps that armor up from 10 tons to 14 tons with that saved weight.
Yeah, this thing will take a beating and deal one out in response. So don't run into this.
But maybe pilot it.
Maybe.
If you're stuck in 30,
Let's have Davian involved.
Hey, I could see plenty of reasons to have this. Like maybe you have a campaign going and you guys find an old vault somewhere. Stranger things have happened in Battletech.
Stranger things have happened. Turpitz Affair. I'm looking at you, Stranger Thing. Black Marauder. We'll get there.
Oh, we will. So this guy's got a battle value of 1471 and a point value of 36. We then come to the 7M. Keeps the movement profile of 4/6. It's got a ER PPC in both the left and the right arm. It's got a medium laser and a anti-missile system in the left torso, an SRM-6 in the right torso, a medium laser in the right torso, and a machine gun in the right torso. It's got 18 double heat sinks. Yeah, this thing is sweet.
So is this the first Merrick mech?
It is the first dedicated Merrick one.
First Merrick.
And it was seen in 3047. So it gets all those sweet upgrades and rediscovered tech from the Grey Death Legion's core or the Helm memory core.
Yeah, and I find this one kind of unique compared to the previous ones because it retains the standard 6R armor, 10 tons of standard, but it gets the double heat sinks, gets those ERPPCs. So it's not a Royal. It's not a 6R series. It's kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They probably had some blueprints of all of both of them, and we're like, well, we can't afford to go all fancy, so we're going to make our own version that puts a Merrick touch on it, which, the fancy tech being the Merrick touch.
I do like the anti-missile system. That's a neat thing to see. I personally think we should see these on a lot more mechs because that is effectively armor.
Against missile weapons.
Yes.
And then if you play with Attack Ops rules, you can turn it into a machine gun as well.
Which is cool.
Yes.
How do you feel about this, though, Brent? If you take away the AMS, you could put on Pharaoh Faboris armor and free up a couple tons. You could do it. It needs one crit slot to put Pharaoh on it, or Endo. And then you could up the armor either way. Because I think I asked you a question, so I'll stop.
Well, hold on. Why get rid of the AMS when you can get rid of the machine gun? Come on.
Ding, ding,
it's
ding.
only a 20 millimeter autocannon.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And as I look at the record sheet down here, I noticed that the ammo for the AMS is in the right torso, but the ammo for the center, or for the machine gun, is in the center torso. So that instinctively makes me want to take that out and replace it with the Pharaoh or Endo.
What drives me nuts is the anti-missile ammo is in the right torso, but the
anti-missile
empty
system
slot
is in the left torso.
The machine gun is in the right torso, but its ammo is in the center torso.
Yeah, that someone was ready to clock out on Friday when they were putting those feed belts in.
Yeah.
I just think if you lose something, not only could you switch to Endo, which will probably save you about 2 tons on this thing, you could also gain that extra ton and a half to put into armor, because this guy's a glass cannon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially in the era that it's in.
The fact that it's got ERPPCs, though, I think helps because it extends that range a little bit longer so he can keep his distance a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the stated role for this thing says brawler, but really it's more of a sniper. Especially with that AMS, it helps keep it safe from LRMs, which is going to be one of the main things winging at it if it's staying at the
long range
edges of its range. Yeah.
This is probably one of the very rare times you're gonna hear me say, ditch the machine gun.
We've turned him around on this one. Put it on the board.
Clip it. Clip it, clip it, clip it.
Because those ERPPCs do make it a long range mech. I also think you should switch that SRM-6 to an LRM 5 or 10, depending on what you can squeeze in there. And then, turn it into a complete long-range mech, boost its armor with Endo Steel or Pharaoh, and a couple freed tons. And then,
I mean, logically, the easier one would be Pharaoh, just production cost-wise and simplicity of redesign.
But as it is on the page, this guy's got a battle value of 1487 and a point value of 35. Sorry, I cut you off, Josh.
I was going to say, what could you keep the machine gun and trade the SRM-6 for an LRM? And would that free up your crit slot?
I think you could bump it down to a 5.
Yeah, but at that point, it's almost not worth taking. Especially an Inner Sphere LRM-5. It's Clan LRM-5, then it's just a shotgun with a very long range.
Yep. So next up we have the 7S, seen in 3050. This guy's got a movement profile of 4-6. It's got the ERPPC in each arm, a medium pulse laser, a streak SRM-2, and a small laser in the left torso, a medium pulse laser and a streak SRM-2 and a small laser in the right torso. It's got 18 double heat sinks, and it's got the same armor as the 6R, which is a little unfortunate, but again, wanting to keep that range, although the swapping the SRMs to streaks it incentivizes you to close, and I don't think that's what this wants to do.
I mean, the 7S is literally the Steiners took their 6R blueprint, went, okay, we got all this fancy tech from the clans and from the memory cores. We're just going to upgrade everything on this and change nothing. Except for take out the machine guns. Yeah, they gave it a royal treatment, but Steiner style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that much better.
You like this one better?
I'd almost prefer regular medium lasers instead of the pulse lasers and just do more armor.
I was still stuck on the previous one. Yeah, you can, if you trade the SRM-6 for an LRM-5, you free up the crit space and a ton, so you can bump to Pharaoh and get an extra 1.5 tons of armor.
There you go.
7S, this guy, Streak 2s are nice, ERPPCs are nice. I kind of feel like the small pulse on the 7A are better than the medium pulse on this guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, the medium pulse also has a shorter range than the regular medium, so that's also wanting to incentivize you to close.
Yeah, I think sticking with regular medium lasers probably would have been the way to go, and just put that extra tonnage in the armor. But that also doesn't fit with the idea that they literally just took a 6R blueprint and just slapped fancier technology on it.
Yeah, you could have also bumped those medium lasers up to ER mediums to push your range out, and swapped your small lasers to small pulse to keep your anti-infantry capability.
As it is on the page, it's got a battle value of 1477 and a point value of 36. And we haven't really talked about how the Warhammer looks, but it looks great. I mean, especially this new redesigned art. I love the way the arms have those nice long barrels. It's got the searchlight over the left shoulder, and then the right shoulder has the SRMs, and it looks good. It's nice and symmetrical, even though the weapon loadout isn't completely symmetrical. It's stocky without looking bulky. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad-looking Warhammer, except maybe one of the original plastic minis, like from the 3rd edition box set. But that's mostly because the miniature making technology at the time was...
Oh, how far we've come.
Oh, how far. That said, one thing you'll run into playing MechWarrior Online or MechWarrior 5, and is a bit of a problem with this mech, is how low slung those ERPPCs are. In those games, you can't really lift them up and articulate them the way the artwork shows is possible. So you run into the issue where your head is exposed, your upper torso is exposed, but your main weapons are below cover, so they can't fire.
Yeah, they very much are at waist height.
The only way to get around this is doing a gangster gun type setup where you put the whole thing on its side.
Yeah, just use the shoulder actuators and just put them out at wings. Lock X-foils to attack position. Definitely out of the original Warhammer art, I really like the one from TRO 3050. Just because of the angle it's got, it just looks mean.
Mm-hmm.
And it also highlights the cockpit design a little bit better than the other original unseen artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And you also get to see your nice searchlight and your suitcase SRM-6.
Now I'm just picturing Bond getting a suitcase SRM-6.
You think NAIS hasn't done it? You're wrong. They have. They just don't want you to know.
Oh.
It's like Ancient Aliens, but instead of Ancient, it's an NAIS.
Are you sure that the 3050 artwork shows the searchlight, not a Jumbotron?
You might be correct as well. They just put on a really white screen, and it's just that's just how good of a jumbotron it is.
Because it looks like the CRTV version of a jumbotron.
Oh my god, they could turn it into a propaganda machine and just put on like reruns of the troops' favorite shows. Boost morale.
You're a mercenary and you just
and protect them at the same time.
You're a mercenary and you just run ads on it while you're battling.
That's psychological warfare. If
Tired of your cat making too much noise?
I'm tired of your cat being mad?
Get a Warhammer.
Ditch the Sibco.
Get a Rakshasa.
No, that is an underrated mech.
It is. It's true. Especially once it ditches trying to be a mad cat and just wants to be its own thing. Then it really comes into its own. But that is neither here nor there.
That is true, and that is also foreshadowing for a future episode.
Epic foreshadowing.
So next up we have pilot profiles. First up is Colonel Natasha Kerensky, the Black Widow, the First Lady of Death. Her legend rivals that of the great General Kerensky. She was the leader of the Black Widow Company for the Wolf's Dragoons and was known for piloting a Warhammer for over 5 decades and destroying all who challenged her.
She's also the top pick for the WNRP body pillow.
I thought that was Malvina Hayes. God dang it.
No, that is just a very vocal sub-faction of the group.
This makes sense now.
So, of course, Natasha Kerensky is a legend in the Inner Sphere and clan space all at the same time, because when we eventually do a deep dive on her specifically, her history is long and sordid, and she has her fingers in lots of pies in Inner Sphere history.
Lots of pies made of cannibalistic parts. What is this pie made out of? Your friends.
Free Worlds League parts. Next up, we have Lieutenant Harvey Callahan. He's part of Little Richard's Panzer Brigade, and currently in service to House Steiner. He's part of the Attack Lance, and he's been employed by the Eridani Light Horse before his current stint with Richard's Panzer Brigade. He's a mercenary, but he's also he also has a reputation as a gentleman soldier and will spare a life whenever possible, but will also fight savagely when it's required of him. He drives a Warhammer 6K in pristine condition, which is pretty impressive for 3025.
Pristine. Next up, we have Colonel Donovan Fresnel of the 75th Royal Hussar Regiment of the SLDF. He's notable because he was the first SLDF gunslinger to achieve a draw against a...
Hey, Chandler, you want to take that again?
Nah, we'll just stick with that one. He's notable because he was the first SLDF gunslinger to achieve a draw against a Draconis Combine mech pilot, notably a Marauder mech pilot, in 2687 on the world of Minakuchi during an hour-long duel. So that is quite the time to be, trading shots with a Marauder, even if you are in a Warhammer.
An hour is a long time.
That is a long, especially in a duel. Like, holy... I have to assume it was not to the first blood.
That's 200 rounds of combat on the tabletop.
Well, it's a good thing he's in a Warhammer, because otherwise he would have run dry.
Did I get
so
that right?
There's two options here. Either one, they're both very good pilots, or two, they're both very bad pilots.
Well, considering it's a gunslinger program graduate, I think it's the very good.
Let's see. A combat in classic Battletop a round is 30 seconds, times 2 is a minute. It's only
120 rounds.
That's still a lot of rounds for 2 mechs.
120 rounds, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
120
rounds of classic Battletech.
Jeez. I do not have that many rounds of AC-20 ammo. What the...
At an average round length of half an hour, that's 60 hours
That's
of
a little
gameplay.
bit of time. Hope you got a couple of days ready, guys.
So next up we have Taissa Yurinaga Kurita, a distant cousin to the then coordinator and commander of the Second Sword of Light on Mallory's world. He is responsible for the death of Ian Davian and was prevented from taking any trophies. He then clashed with the Kellhounds, and specifically Morgan Kell. He is believed to have the same mystical powers that Morgan Kell had, and after the duel and the withdrawal, he committed seppuku in front of his regiment.
Yeah, and I believe his son, who later joined the Wolf's Dragoons, Akira Brahe, acted as his second in that seppuku ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
We should also not forget he also killed Patrick Kell. So
This
he
is
killed
true.
2 important people to, Battletech. That's the word.
To the histories.
To them history things.
And our data dive today, we are going to look back at the Terran Hegemony for the 4th time.
Can we kill them already?
We're getting there.
No, I refuse. What is dead may never die.
When last we spoke of the Terran Hegemony, Michael Cameron had just retired after an unprecedented and stable rule. He passed the title of Director General to his daughter, Margaret Cameron, a gifted and talented leader in her own right. She had served 10 years in the Hegemony Armed Forces Navy, then retired to transition to civilian leadership and to raise her 3 children from her marriage to Alexander Ellis, a well-connected industrialist. Together they had 3 children, Raymond, Brian, and Judith. Again, there is a seamless transition of power from her father to Margaret. One of her first acts was controversial, to say the least. She put forth a military recruitment and preparedness bill that would conscript all able-bodied citizens under the age of 55 into the HAF Homeworld Militia for 1 month of the Terran calendar.
Okay, so first up, conscription is slavery. But second, everybody under the age of 55. Are they issuing diapers to the youngest members of this conscription program?
Adult citizens.
Yes, they are.
So it's adult diapers then.
Well, I believe you'll have some comments in a little bit. The goal of this bill was to free up more experienced units and provide a strong static force. Surprisingly, the general population was, if not enthusiastic, gladly accepted their new responsibilities, as the responsibilities came with rewards, and each citizen soon had a secondary income that had, in general, several effects. One, it secured the individual's financial future with a clear credit to the Terran Hegemony, fostering patriotism and loyalty. And 2, it stimulated the local economies. This bill was not unopposed, as the military and industrial class opposed it for different reasons. The industrialists and business owners opposed the bill as they would lose 1/12 of their yearly production, when demand was only rising, leaving them to feel that money was being left on the table. The military opposed it as they feared it would reduce the effectiveness of their units. This fear is not unfounded. We simply have to look to Terra's past and the unit/experiment called Project 100,000, also referred to in a derogatory way as McElmara's morons.
So, I mean, there's a number of economic and moral issues with this bill.
A couple?
Yeah, just a couple. But we're not a economics or philosophy podcast, so
We can.
No, but
Open
we can...
your mind to the possibilities.
I'll just leave it with conscription is slavery and make work does not produce value.
Do they also hate wrong think?
The opposition to the bill was so strong that Margaret threatened to go behind the council's back and simply take the bill to the population. That would undermine and delegitimize them, of course. Margaret got her way, and being an intelligent and resourceful woman ensured that the bill had backdoors and disqualification clauses that removed any uncommitted of recruitment, and ensured that their training did not diminish the military's effectiveness. Margaret would also continue to work for the technological innovation set forth previously, but was more strict than her father and created a blacklist of technologies that were restricted in several categories due to possible military applications. This would come to be known as the Mother Doctrine. Margaret's reign had many military experiments and oddities that we will not cover here, but I encourage you to look into. Ask Bobby down in the archives for the Terran Hegemony boondoggle list.
I think the Mother Doctrine says everything you need to know about it. The Terran Hegemony is your mother. Listen to her.
Mother, please, could I have another coin for pudding?
It is a pretty clear bit of marketing. Margaret was diagnosed with cervical cancer in February of 2380, and for 2 years she sought treatment and ruled. But by the end her cancer was in remission, but she did not have the willpower to continue on as Director General. So the title of Director General passed to Raymond Cameron, the eldest of the 3 children. Raymond Cameron served with the HAF, but after a jet fighter accident that should have killed him, but simply left him terribly scarred and suffering health effects. The accident is also believed to be the root of his sterility discovered later in life. Raymond married Catherine McQuestion, a woman with strong economic ties to the Federation of Sky. Many on both sides of the border hoped that with Raymond's ascension, the mother doctrine would be loosened. This hope was misplaced, as in fact Raymond was even stricter than his mother, and as time would pass, the population would find in fact authoritarian. For in 2385, the planet of Bryant passed a motion to, air quotes, demand, the political legalese after all, that Raymond rescind or modify the recruitment bill. Raymond responded by cutting all funding to Bryant and threatened military action if the demand was not withdrawn. Bryant, of course, had no option but to comply. This would be a signpost for the course the Terran hegemony would take for the next 2 years, as the government and population opposed Raymond's iron fist.
I mean, arguably, this is the signpost that points the way to what the Terran hegemony is going to be for the rest of its existence.
I mean, I would argue that there are a few rulers that try to turn it around. Try being the operative word.
Yeah. I mean, once you fill your leadership with the sense that their population are children, again, the mother doctrine thing, that have to be treated like children, if a population doesn't resist that when it's initiated and at the very outset, it just sinks in and you can't go back without violence.
Yeah. As time passed, Raymond would rely more and more on emergency and temporary directives. In 3085, Catherine would become pregnant from an affair she was having with Brian Cameron.
Scandalous.
Yeah, this naturally makes the realm explode, both socially and politically. Brian Cameron was arrested for treason, or, Chandler?
Tweason. Said to choose the tweason.
Tis the tweason for... Tis the season?
Tweason. Tis the tweason for tweason.
So it's treason then.
Mm-hmm. A conviction carrying the death penalty. Just 2 days before the date of Brian's trial, the High Council met with Raymond to try and find a middle ground. Raymond would have none of it, and then shortly after the meeting, Raymond was found dead in the Hall of Justice's cloakroom.
It sounds like there's some real cloak and dagger around the circumstances of his death.
Hey-oh! I mean, as I was reading the historical documents, I just go, Hall of Justice's cloakroom. Can you get more pretentious?
Putting the cloak in cloak and dagger.
In the cloakroom with the candlestick, it was the Senate.
I am the Senate.
Wait, so is the Terran hegemony just Palpatine at this point? Is that where we're going with this?
We're getting close.
Tweason.
The autopsy would rule the cause of death to be a coronary, but whispers of assassins could not be silenced. Soon, a rift appeared in the population, some who were for Brian and some who were not. The High Council could plainly see that something had to be done, or the population would start to rip itself apart. In a desperate scheme, they elected Mitchell Ducurl, the nephew of Sonia Ducurl, as Director General pro tem, and started the trial of Brian Cameron. By September of 2388, the High Council had cleared Brian of all charges and showed that Raymond had been paranoid and charged Brian with actions that he could not have taken. Ultimately, Brian's crime was that of indiscretion and love. After putting the trial behind them, the High Council nominated Brian for Director Generalship. Brian would serve as Director General for 15 years, but his most two notable contributions to the Terran hegemony history, besides his run in the tabloids, was first in 2391. He authorized the military buildup along the Draconis Combine border. As having served as ambassador to the Draconis Combine, he knew that the dragon was not tame, but simply sleeping. This proclamation set out to create a massive military compound on border worlds, hidden or carved into the very planet itself. The fortresses would be the shoreline that the waves of invaders would smash themselves against. These were the first Castle Bryans. The second was in 2392, a bill that decreed that only a Cameron could hold the title of Director Generalship, but veiled in language that made it unclear, but when looked at with all the signing statements and addendums, it was all too clear that the Director Generalship was now only the purview of the Camerons. To rule, you had to be a Cameron. And in 2399, Brian married Catherine and legitimized their first child.
I mean, at this point, is there any doubt that you have to be a Cameron to rule? I mean, the previous Cameron died of a coronary, or possibly an assassin. in the cloakroom. And then they elect a Director General pro tem in order to clear the name of Brian Cameron so they can make him the Director General.
Yep.
This is just, I guess...
the formalization of it?
Yeah.
Ruler of Terran hegemony. There's one check mark. Are you Cameron? Yes, no. Yes, you're in, bud.
Dude, Director General ballots look like North Korean ballots. There's only one name on it.
No, there's two check marks. There's Cameron, and then the next one's treason.
Or exile. In 2403, Lord Brian Cameron traveled to Elbar to tour one of the fruits of the new Federated Sun / Terran Hegemony worlds, a project that operated in Federated Sun and Larian Commonwealth space, using Terran Hegemony terraforming technology on planets on the neighboring state's space. There he made a stop at a ranch. Sadly, Death was also visiting that ranch that day. As Brian exited his vehicle, the farm's lone breeding bull broke free of its pen and gored Brian before his protective service members could gun down the bull. Brian passed on the scene, but in his final moments, he instructed his staff to compensate the owner of the farm for the bull's death, so the farmer would not be ruined. When Brian was asked why, he responded, "An animal cannot be blamed for its nature, nor should the rancher be punished for a bull with remarkable aim." The animal's horns were treated and sent to Terra with Brian's blood still on them under a protective coating. There they were accepted in the spirit in which they were sent, an apology, and then hung in the ballroom of Castle Cameron.
I love the symbology of a bull goring the leader of the Terran hegemony.
Well, you know what they say about history. It doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
As a Taurian, it has a certain resonance with me.
As someone who's worked on a ranch, like, it just seems so almost not inconceivable, but like so many things have to go wrong at a certain point that legally it would have been the rancher's fault.
Well, you know, space legal is a little different than Earth legal.
Fair. Space laws. I forgot. Space laws. We're okay.
And this is where we will leave off today. Again, with a power vacuum. A child heir too young to inherit, and an untested sister as the primary or only option for the Director Generalship.
Space law.
Don't mess with the bull.
You get the horns, clearly.
Taurus.
They literally did get the horns, yeah. Wait, so are you saying that the Taurians giving the Star League a bloody nose was a freak accident?
No. They messed with the bull.
So they got the horns.
But he didn't mess with the bull. It was just there.
Yeah, but they messed with the Taurians. They should have paid attention to what happened here.
They forgot the reminder that was in their ballroom.
Yes. Or maybe they took it as a reason. Those guys got a bull. You gotta go kill those guys. Take their horns. Put it up on the wall.
Did Brian Cameron get bullied?
No, but the bull that bulled him got bullied and worked up by some kids, apparently.
Never go cow Also, they don't sleep standing up anyway, so, good luck finding a cow that sleeps standing up.
Urban myth destroyed. Our sources for today are Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TROs 3039, Record Sheet 3039, TRO 3075, Record Sheets 3075, Unabridged Age of War, Spotlight on Thermopolice, Historical Operation Klondike, Record Sheets Operation Klondike, Turning Point Mallory's World, Record Sheets 3085 Project Phoenix, Record Sheets 3085 On the Cutting Edge, Record Sheets New Tech, New Upgrades, Recognition Guide Volume 7, Battle of Tukid and Supplement, and the Star League Sourcebook.
Technical Readout 3025 for Lieutenant Harvey Callahan.
We are supported by our Patreons at patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs. Our social media on Twitter is at Origin of Mechs. We also have a dedicated channel on the Everything Battletech Discord. Feel free to stop by and say hi. If you have any questions, requests for topics, or wish to contact us, our email is ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, I encourage you to let your friends know about us and to leave a review. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Peace out, mech warriors. Ugh.
Stay safe out there.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
citizens under the age of, oh my god. No, I just realized I just left my speaker on, so there's going to be a ton of background noise on my local audio track. All right.
You want to retake that?
Move. Oh no. The whole thing? Yeah. It'll be fine.
Just retake it while you listen to us talk and respond to everything we say.
I mean, theoretically, you could listen to it and then just repeat what you say.
Oh, I'm sure I can make it work. It's more of a oof. All right.
The big oof.
Yep, the big oof.